Rien ne va plus. Gambling on tempting athletic legs, 3,000 meters women at the interval. From Hellenistic stillness, the wrestlers in their matchwear in wrestling rings, yelling, spring sweating inside. Not my cup of tea. These dripping men, mirrored in cash-hungry eyes of some wolfman, homo homini lupus est. A booming economy ready for jump-off. Enrichment that changes to loss. Increasing sick mother discovers a mount of new lovers, while she deceases, roving where nourished and brought up for growth, and what is still unused, bestowed as alms among the poor with a cynical smile. Forced by the pressure of heat and fondling of wind, the fully blown buds on the chronos, no fairer maidens ever. Folded out from young men's dreams, with honey-soft wrinkles in their skin on the lens, licking the loins on barter salt, liquor eyes and fisherman's friend, spooled about by tongues along the inner cheek, the wet palate and gleaming lips. Then biting suddenly the northern teeth in warm, poor southern meat, the seaweed hanging from the skull shoved gently behind ears. For a few dollars more in an upstairs room above the habitual cafe. A failing recognition where drunk the greyish age wears down the days with rigid nails and nails stray at beer mats. Wind, in which the trees write stories on anything blown overseas, on ponderous employment and dengue in the tropics, the Christianizing clang of arms and hidden traumatic accent of the Untermensch. Dull drums in Jonathan's head and Joseph beating the hot stiffing air in this pendulous hour, distorting the depth of perspective, counting stars in the tropical light, the blazing ones that fell. Slowly the system crumbles down, with maintenance showing its teeth, armed to the teeth indeed, but powerless now as due to periodontitis. The cock of the walk named vulgar Darwinism, crowing around amidst the prey, and procreates in his dance once more a stock market ready for slaughter. Rotation of Rossi, with funds in destructive combustion, predicts a collapse of the system, while voices in twilight, against all current signs, convinced of long-term gain, scatter in small fancy cell phones, tin kettle supported their songs of enticement on evermore greed. Hard-hearted and loveless, just before dawn in sloppy lantern light, the long-skipped memory of some consoling tropical rhythms, an evening breeze this steely knife in town, where now the primitive shrieks by ever so happy gamblers throw themselves upon. The lessons learned, sound propagates itself. Insurance now is bitterly disturbed in fornicated shipments to the east. The lighthouse on the right hand, on left the harbor light, luring. She casts a glance upwards and sees ascending smoke, years ago, years also. Day after day, there is this landing on her shores, loading, unloading, with lots of suspicion brought into bed, until she orders herself to take rest. A rusty barbed wire fence she kisses all through the forest, a borderline, a traced out old age as a protected area. Not seeing her grandchild, she tramples down the autumn leaves, careless, and wounds her bright brown skin. Wherever she turns herself against life, in her penniless years, in monetary pressure and in its limitation, the rapid rejection of fading alternatives, embedded and forged to eternity, in theories that cohere, with speculations, with sentiments alarmingly directed to the people, in times of regression and restriction, of each man for himself, and God save the ice caps in sheer simplicity spread out over us all, abolition, denial, and drop our intellectual possessions at charity handouts, asking in times of misfortune the guiding government of grace for mercy. We dictate and speak out with words like urgency programs, expressed in deconstruction during a press conference, modest sound of voices, for a political process goes on, breaking all rules. Awaiting the nightfall when darkness conceals the shifting and thinking, the NGO Consumers Without Borders protects in its camps the victimized masses, We have our healers anywhere. An ecological tourist broods on revenge out of honor. In the Casino Royale, I urgently take off my empty trousers pockets, all worn into holes.